You pray for money, but violate every rule it obeys. You fast for abundance, but live in constant financial chaos. And then you call it God's will. Here's the truth nobody preaches. Heaven doesn't bless emotion, it blesses alignment. Money isn't biased, it follows order, not prayer. It flows toward discipline, not desire. And that's why so many faithful people stay broke. They cry for miracles while ignoring the math. They want divine overflow without learning divine structure. Because money, whether you like it or not, has laws. And the moment you break them, you break the flow. This isn't about religion, it's about spiritual physics. And in the next few minutes, you'll see exactly why heaven keeps saying no to people who sound holy, but live financially blind. Stay until the end. The law you ignore is the one blocking your blessing. Let's start with the contradiction no one wants to face. People claim they want divine prosperity, but live in rebellion against every law that produces it. They pray for more while wasting what they already have. They ask for blessings while running from structure. They talk about trusting God, but panic every time the bill arrives. And here's what's worse, they call that panic faith. They think feeling anxious but hopeful is the same as believing. But in heaven's language, emotion isn't evidence. Order is, because no amount of prayer can compensate for poor systems. You can't fast your way out of financial disorganization. You can't tithe your way past waste and inconsistency. The kingdom runs on laws, not loopholes. That's why some people seem blessed, while others stay stuck. It's not about who prays louder, it's about who applies divine logic better. And deep down, you know this. You've seen people who never brag about faith, but live in abundance. And you've seen others who post verses daily, yet drown in debt. The difference isn't belief, it's alignment. Because the laws that govern money don't care who you are. They only respond to who's obeying them. Every divine or financial has laws. Gravity pulls you down whether you believe in it or not. And money works the same way. There are people who pray, cry, and shout, but their wallets stay silent. Because heaven doesn't reward intensity, it rewards consistency. The first law of money is simple. What you cannot manage, you cannot multiply. And yet, most people ask for more while despising management. They call structure limiting. They say, God will provide, while leaving their accounts in chaos. But look closely. Even in Scripture, every miracle of multiplication starts with order. Before Jesus fed thousands, he made them sit in groups. Before oil filled jars, the woman had to gather them and count them. Before abundance came, structure was built. That's the secret nobody preaches. Heaven doesn't bless confusion. It blesses clarity. It's not about divine favoritism, it's about divine logic. The reason most believers stay broke isn't lack of faith. It's disobedience to divine economics. They want overflow without system. They want increase without stewardship. And when nothing changes, they blame bad luck, not realizing the law was never broken. They were. Let's talk about the moment the system catches you, the invisible point where your prayers start colliding with your patterns. You've probably felt it before, that sudden tension between what you say you want and how you actually live. You ask for financial peace, but scroll through chaos. You seek stability, but chase dopamine with every purchase. You want abundance, but live allergic to responsibility. And then you wonder why heaven feels silent. Here's the scandal no one dares to preach. God doesn't block your blessings, your habits do. Because every choice you make either aligns with His laws or breaks them in silence. Every time you ignore your budget, you break covenant. Every time you call comfort self-care, you trade growth for anesthesia. Every time you spend what was meant to be multiplied, you crucify this and blame the soil. The system was never designed to fail you. It was designed to expose you. Money reveals character faster than temptation. It amplifies whatever you already are, chaotic or disciplined, fearful or strict. And that's why the same $1,000 can bless one man and destroy another. Because money isn't moral, it's magnetic. It simply obeys the strongest energy in the room. And if that energy is disordered, it flees. Money doesn't respond to faith declarations, it responds to frequency alignment. Every dollar you touch carries data, the trace of your energy, your discipline, your intent. That's why two people can earn the same income but live in completely different realities. One sees money as oxygen, something that flows. The other sees it as air trapped in a jar, something to hold. And here's the irony. The one who clings always runs out first. Because the system reads vibration, not vocabulary. You can shout abundance all day, but if your habits scream scarcity, the algorithm of wealth ignores you. The law is simple. Energy that stagnates dies. That's why the wealthy circulate. They move money through systems, not emotions. They understand the rhythm. Flow, not freeze. Meanwhile, the faithful stay praying for release, but live financially constipated, hoarding out of fear, not planning out of wisdom. And heaven looks down and says, I can't multiply what you won't move. Money is a mirror. It reflects your flow state. When you hoard, it hides. When you circulate with wisdom, it compounds. That's why wealth isn't just math. It's magnetism. And every broken financial law is simply the echo of emotional chaos. At some point, something shifts. You stop praying for money and start praying with money. Not asking, but aligning. This is the moment your faith matures from emotion to execution. You realize that abundance isn't an answered prayer, it's an activated pattern. Because discipline is the true language of the divine economy. It's not glamorous, it's not loud. It's that quiet decision to say no when your impulses scream yes. It's waking up earlier, tracking your flow, giving your money a job before it wanders off to serve someone else's. And when heaven sees that, it recognizes structure, its native frequency. It starts to trust you with overflow, because now you look like a manager, not a beggar. That's the paradox. The day you stop chasing miracles is the day you start creating them. The day you stop asking, why not me? And start asking, what system am I missing? You stop seeing money as a blessing and start seeing it as a responsibility. Because true prosperity isn't when you have more, it's when you deserve more. And you deserve it the moment your behavior stops contradicting your prayer. That's when divine mathematics begins, where discipline becomes the seed and stewardship becomes worship. Something incredible happens when order replaces emotion. Money starts to listen, not because you asked louder, but because you finally speak its native language, structure. You see, money doesn't respond to begging. It responds to blueprint. It flows toward whoever creates systems that protect and multiply. That's why chaos always stays broke, and calm, strategic minds quietly get rich in silence. At this stage, you stop chasing opportunities. Opportunities start chasing you. Because wealth recognizes itself. Every spreadsheet, every budget, every boundary you build sends a signal to the universe that says, I'm ready for overflow, and I can handle it. The rich don't worship money. They respect its rhythm. They know that each dollar is a soldier, either defending your future or fighting against it. And when you treat your money like an army instead of a toy, it starts winning battles while you sleep. But here's the paradox that destroys most people. They want financial miracles without financial maturity. They say, God, trust me with more, but they still lose track of the little they already have. That's not faith, that's fantasy. And the system doesn't reward fantasy, it rewards function. Because abundance isn't random, it's responsive. It comes when you stop trying to prove your worth and start proving your readiness. Here's the truth no one tells you. Money was never meant to be your reward. It was meant to be your responsibility. Most people chase wealth to feel safe, but the few who actually find it realize it was never about comfort. It was about capacity, because money, in its highest form, is energy assigned to purpose. When it's in the hands of chaos, it amplifies destruction. But in the hands of order, it amplifies creation. That's why divine systems never bless people for their greed. They bless people for their governance. The ones who understand that wealth isn't owned, it's managed. So, when you start treating money like a sacred assignment instead of an escape plan, everything changes. The flow becomes cleaner, the fear disappears, and your finances stop feeling like survival. They start feeling like service. You stop asking, why doesn't God bless me? And start realizing, He's been waiting for me to become the kind of person who can handle it. Because the truth is brutal. The universe doesn't test your desire for abundance. It tests your ability to hold it without losing you. And the moment you stop chasing validation through money, money starts chasing validation through you. You become the vessel, the distribution channel of divine order. And that's when wealth stops being personal and becomes powerful. At the end of the journey, when the noise fades and the numbers stop impressing you, you'll face the real question. Can you handle wealth without worshiping? Because that's the final test, the one no one warns you. Most people fail here, not because they lose money, but because money wins them. They forget that abundance isn't proof of being blessed. It's proof of being trusted, and trust can be revoked at any time. When you reach this point, the system watches closely. It wants to see if you'll use your prosperity to dominate, or to design, to feed your ego, or to expand your purpose. That's when the real separation happens. The rich multiply, but the wise multiply meaning. And those who pass this test stop seeing wealth as a finish line. They see it as a frequency, one that only stays stable when you remain aligned. So, if you ever wonder why they keep getting blessed, maybe it's not favoritism. Maybe it's because they mastered the principle. The divine doesn't bless who wants more. It blesses who can hold more without breaking. And that's when you realize it was never about money. It was about mastery, the kind that turns discipline into devotion and transforms ordinary people into silent architects of abundance. Because in the end, the chosen ones aren't the richest. They're the ones who finally understood why.